Meron na sa screen nyo, guys? Hello?
Yes
Opo,
po,
Doc.
kita na po.
Yes po, Doc.
Tingnan nyo lang kung nag-move ba? Hello? Nag-move? Hindi. Nag-change yung sa monitor?
Hindi po.
Hindi po.
Okay, sige. Wait, ha? Sandali lang, ha? Ganun. Yan, guys. Meron na? Hello?
Wala po.
Wala pa po, Doc.
Wala. Patay tayo. Ano ba ito nangyari? Yan, meron na? Hello?
Wala po.
Wala pa rin po.
Wala po.
Ba, ba't ganun? Yan, okay na?
Opo, Doc.
Yes
Okay,
po.
meron na. Ayan, ha? Oh, tingnan nyo, ha? Kung nag-move, ha? Yan. Meron na yung learn, title?
Opo.
Yes po.
Okay, sige, thank you. So that will be our topic. Continue lang natin yung lecture ng digestive system. So after the motor activity, secretory naman tayo. So ang learning objectives naturally will be all about the secretory activities and the secretions of the different glands associated with the system. Okay? So yan ang mga learning objectives. So ano lang to, ha? Salivary glands and gastric area ng GIT. Yung other learning objectives, okay? So regarding about the other organs, ayan yung pancreas, okay? Yung liver and gallbladder, okay? So yung hepatic region. And also the secretions ng small intestine and the large intestines. Okay? So these are the things you must know. Okay, wait, sorry. So, sa secretory activities, just like motor, meron ding neural control, okay, utilizing the extrinsic neurons and the intrinsic neurons. Di ba yung extrinsic, yung simpa sa kapara, the intrinsic neurons, the enteric neurons, yung myenteric Meissner's. Then, meron ding hormonal and paracrine control. Now, for the neural control, as we all know, ang most essential sa secretory activities, yung intrinsic, especially the Meissner's. Modulating control lang yung simpa and para. So, importante yung Meissner's. But only for the gastrointestinal tract. And in the gastrointestinal tract, they're only essential to control secretory activities from the region ng esophagus down to the large intestine. So they cannot control secretory activities sa mouth and also sa pharynx. Minimal lang effect nila ron, sa mouth nga almost none. Okay? So yung effect ng Meissner's, so sabi sa GIT lang from esophagus to large intestine. Except yung mga secretory cells present sa mouth o yung salivary gland, sa pharynx. And also yung mga accessory organs, yung liver, kay pancreas. Walang effect doon ng Meissner's. Okay? So sa salivary glands, ayan o. So ang major glands, yung submandibular. the parotid, and the sublingual gland. Thus, most of the saliva is coming from the submandibular gland. 70% ng saliva present in the mouth, secreted by the submandibular gland. Okay? Dapat alam niyo yung mga excretory ducts, yung mga Stenson's, Wharton's, and the Bartholin's duct. Ang parotid gland will contribute 20%. So very minimal yung contribution ng sublingual. Kasi ito yung kanilang mga characteristic secretions. So once they produce saliva, ang sublingual pwedeng mucus, minsan mix. Ang submandibular always mix. Ang parotid gland, ang saliva niya always serous. Okay? Kasi ang primary control nila neural. Anong ginagamit? Extrinsic. Walang intrinsic Walang ano diyan, walang Meissner's. Okay? Extrinsic lang, yung sympa and para. And tas ang mas importante yung parasympathetic control. It is primarily controlled by the parasympathetic. Injury or damage ng parasympathetic nerve to the salivary glands, it leads to atrophy of the gland. Hindi na siya magtatrabaho. Okay? What are the major parasympathetic nerves? So yung glossopharyngeal and facial nerve. Ang facial nerve controls the submandibular and sublingual glands. Ang glossopharyngeal controls the parotid. Siyempre, para yan. So they make use of acetylcholine acting on muscarinic receptors. Mostly M3. Pero they can also act, sabi daw, okay? To a lesser extent sa M1 and M5. Pero mostly M3. Okay? Bold yung M3. Ayan, okay? Tapos meron din silang ability to be affected by vasoactive intestinal polypeptide. Okay yung mga salivary glands. Now, meron ding sympathetic effect. Pero minimal ito. Sabi ang primary control para. Okay? And the sympathetic activation ng salivary glands, okay? To release saliva, usually observed sa initial period ng stimulation. Okay? Ang importance ng sympathetic regulation ng salivary glands sa secretion ng salivary amylase, commonly known as thiolin, acting on beta receptors. Okay? Diba, adrenergic yan, gagamitin norepinephrine. So yung norepinephrine mag-act sa beta receptors present where? In the parotid gland. Okay? To be able to secrete the enzyme thiolin, yung salivary amylase. Okay? So how would we know na ang glands affected by the parasympathetic or sympathetic? Especially sa initial period ng stimulation kasi pareho silang may release ng saliva. Pag parasympathetic yan, pag sympa, ang saliva thick and viscous, acting on alpha-1 receptors present in all salivary glands. Pag parasympathetic, ang saliva is characteristically thin and watery. Kaya kilala mo na ngayon kung ang glands are affected by para or sympathetic activities. Pag para, thin and watery, pag sympathetic, thick and viscous. Okay? Now, yung mga neural control, ba't ayaw gumalaw? So, yung neural control, di ba pag para sabi, facial and glossopharyngeal. What about the sympathetic? So, they arise from the sympathetic, they arise from the thoracolumbar. So, in here, we see activity ng upper thoracic, especially T1, forming the superior cervical ganglion to affect sympathetically the different salivary glands. Ang submandibular is also known at times as submaxillary gland. Okay? Pero minimal lang effect niya na. Ang nagko-control mostly the parasympathetic. Sabi yung glossopharyngeal and facial. So yung glossopharyngeal nerve to control the salivary glands, they make use of the otic ganglion to control mostly the parotid. Yan ang kinokontrol ng glossopharyngeal. Ang facial nerve, by the way, yung kanyang nucleus sa higher center, present sa brainstem. Nasa medulla yon, sa medulla oblongata. Okay? Or medulla oblongata. So yung inferior salivatory nucleus, ayan. Okay? Nasa medulla siya, central part ng medulla oblongata. Ang facial nerve naman, to control the other glands, yung submandibular and sublingual, ayan, facial nerve. Ang ginagamit niya yung submandibular ganglion. Oh, connected na yan sa sublingual and submandibular gland. Ang nucleus na naman sa higher center, nasa medalla din, pero close now sa pons. Ayun na, yung superior salivatory nucleus. Oh, okay. O yan ang origin ng cranial nerve number 7, okay, from the higher center to control activity ng submandibular and sublingual glands. Okay? Kaya pag may injury sa medalla, nagkakaroon ng problem sa activity ng salivary glands. Okay, yan ang primary control niya, parasympathetic nerves. Okay? Tapos yung neural control ng salivary gland activity, di-divide yun sa dalawa. Merong conditioned and unconditioned reflexes. Sa conditioned reflexes, this will explain why we have early secretion or production of saliva. Once we see food, we hear something related to food, we smell something, okay, that we know is food, and when we think of food. Ayan ang mga conditioned reflexes. But for this reflexes to affect activity of the salivary glands, para maapektuhan yung glands, we must know the stimulus. Dapat meron tayong previous encounter with the stimulus. Alam natin yon. And almost always, it is related to food. There are times hindi siya related sa food, pero bihira yon. Usually, the stimulus or the stimuli, they're related to food. Especially when we are hungry, we see food. We hear something related to food. We smell food. Di ba? We think of food. Di ba? There is early secretion ng saliva. Okay? So alam mo pagkain yon. Okay? And we are hungry. We see early secretion ng saliva or production ng saliva from the glands. Even the gastric glands are activated. Okay? Ito yung mga sinasabing cephalic phases. Okay, gastrointestinal activation. Para mga anticipatory effects. Wala pa yung pagkain sa katawan, meron na tayong secretion ng gastrointestinal agents. Okay? Included din dyan yung unconditioned reflex. Dito naman, yung receptors affected, nasa mouth, yung mga taste receptors yan. Okay? So once there is something present in the mouth, okay, especially for food, meron tayo agad production ng saliva. And that is also included in the cephalic phase ng GI activation. Okay? And it will also involve mga receptors present sa pharynx, esophagus, and stomach. Pero mostly yan sa oral region, yung taste receptors. Ang difference nito from the conditioned reflex, in here, we don't need memory or previous encounter with the stimulus. Even if it is the first encounter with the said stimulus, and even if it is not food, as long as it affects receptors in the oral region, it will lead to production of saliva. Ano ang difference nila? Sa conditioned and unconditioned reflexes. Kaya yung salivatory nuclei can be stimulated by taste and tactile stimuli from the tongue and other areas of the mouth and pharynx. Kahit nga sa region ng esophagus and stomach. O yan ang unconditioned reflex. Pero ang mostly affected yan, yung mouth. Okay? Sa unconditioned reflexes. Remember, in this reflex, we don't need previous encounter with the stimulus. Kahit hindi pagkain yan, meron tayong production ng saliva. Pero usually, magre-react sa stimuli related to food. Okay? Yung isang reflex naman, ma-stimulate natin yung mga photoreceptors sa mata, yung olfactory receptors sa nose, and the auditory receptors sa ears, and even the brain. Di ba sabi, sight, smell, sound, or thinking of food can lead to early activation ng GI glands. Okay? Ang nararamdaman natin, yung production ng saliva. O yan ang conditioned reflexes. Okay? Ang best example nito, ito kilala nyo naman to, di ba? Hindi na kailangan explain. O yung Pavlov experiment. Hello? Di ba kilala nyo to? You know this experiment? Ay, walang sumasagot. Ayan yung Pavlov, okay? So di ba ang ginamit muna, merong bell and food. Magkasabay yun. Okay? I-activate yung bell and merong bibigay ng food sa dog. Okay? So, kinondisyon yung aso na pag may bell, may food. Later on, wala nang food, bell na lang. Oh, ang response ng dog, similar. Okay? So, kaya na-condition na siya doon sa sound ng bell. Kaya sabi, conditioned reflexes. So, yan ang sinasabing, there must be previous encounter with the said stimulus. Okay, kailangan ng memory. Pero sa unconditioned, even if it is not, okay, utilizing the memory areas ng brain, kahit first encounter lang ng stimulus, basta it affects receptors in the mouth. Okay? O pwede maapektuhan yung pharynx, esophagus, and stomach. Pero mostly the mouth. Okay? Kasi what is the importance of saliva? So, as mentioned, it can release an enzyme. Di ba? Yung salivary amylase. So, it is also involved in digestion. And what is initially digested in the mouth or acted upon by amylase, so carbohydrates, mostly in the form of starch. Tapos may secretion din ng lingual lipase. O di ba yung amylase, sabi, coming from the parotid, activated by sympathetic stimulation. Meron din lingual lipase, but this is not coming from the salivary glands. They are produced by the Ebner's gland, present in the tongue. O nasa dila yan. And yung activity ng lingual lipase is not seen in the oral cavity. O hindi nakikita sa mouth, ha? Kasi yung activity ng lingual lipase, it needs an acidic environment. Kailangan yan ng acidic environment. Okay? So, ang pH dapat less than 5. Ang normal pH ng saliva, close to 7. O mga 5.8 yan to 6.6. So, it's close to 7. So, hindi active ang lingual lipase, although it is secreted in the mouth by the Ebner's gland, present in the tongue. So, it is not capable of exerting its effect in the oral region. So, yung environment is not appropriate for the activity ng lingual lipase. Sa stomach, acidic doon Doon siya magkakaroon ng activity. So, ang active lang sa mouth, yung amylase. So, kaya nga salivary amylase or also known as thiolin. When it acts on starch, it will convert the complex carbohydrate starch into simple agents or simple carbohydrates, mga disaccharides. Ang starch kasi, di ba complex carbohydrate yun? It is bland. Wala siyang lasa. But when amylase acts on a starch, so converted siya sa much simpler carbohydrates, yung mga disaccharides. Okay? So, disaccharides are sweeter, mas matamis than the starch. So, yung saliva can enhance the taste of food present in the mouth. This will explain why some persons, they chew longer compared to other persons. They're waiting for the change nung taste ng food. Okay? Once amylase acts on starch. Okay? Tapos meron din siyang mucus, may containing mucin. Siyempre, for lubrication, to facilitate the movements. Observe, once there is food present in the mouth, yung mastication and swallowing. Okay? That will also help in the speech process to facilitate movement of the tongue as we talk. Okay, yung mucus na yan. And because of its pH na close to neutral, it is utilized also to neutralize the acid. Pag may problem sa lower esophageal sphincter, diniscuss naman sa inyo yun, yung gastroesophageal reflux disease. So, merong gastric acid that will go back or regurgitate back to the esophagus, galing sa stomach. That can destroy the esophageal mucosa. So to protect the esophageal mucosa from the effects ng acid, that is going back to the esophagus, if there is a problem sa lower esophageal sphincter, the persons having this problem, they keep on swallowing saliva to neutralize the reflux gastric acid. Di ba kasi ang saliva, sabi, ang pH close to neutral. So, may-neutralize niya yung gastric acid that is abnormally returning back to the esophagus. Pag may problem ka sa lower esophageal sphincter, okay? Pag wala naman, hindi normal lang yung activity mo with regards to saliva. Pero pag meron kang reflux ng gastric acid, there is frequent swallowing of saliva to help neutralize the acid going back to the esophagus. The saliva also contains this agent, yung transcobalamin 1. Essential yan to protect the vitamin B12 from the effect of acid in the stomach. We'll talk about that later. Okay? Pero tandaan nyo, meron yan sa saliva. That's very important yung vitamin B12. Alam nyo naman yun. That is needed for normalizing DNA synthesis. Tapos yung saliva din is for protection. Di ba? Salivary gland, secretory gland yun. So meron siyang immunoglobulin. What is the secretory immunoglobulin? And the IgA. Tapos meron din siyang ability to secrete lysozyme. Or it also contains lysozyme, which is bactericidal. Tapos meron ding lactoferrin present sa saliva, which is bacteriostatic. So these agents will protect the oral mucosa from pathogens or bacteria present in the ingested food. Okay, so maintain yung healthy condition ng oral region. Kaya di ba pag walang saliva, yung person is prone to bad breath or halitosis. Okay, but do not just rely on these agents to maintain the healthy condition ng oral mucosa. We still need to brush our teeth daily, at least 3 times a day after meals. Okay, to help these agents. Okay? And the saliva also contains growth factors. Siyempre, needed for mucosal growth in the mouth, and other parts ng GIT. And they also help protect the oral mucosa from the effects of ingested agents. Okay? Yung mga kinakain natin. So, do not forget the effects of the saliva. So, do not just throw away saliva. Sorry. Conserve saliva. And do not use saliva for offense. Ayan, tinan nyo, it is really present in the mouth for protection. So, hindi siya for offense. Okay? Dapat yan for defense. So, huwag mo siyang gamiting offensive weapon pag may kaaway ka. Okay? Sa exam, huwag mo siyang gamiting eraser. Iba, ginagamit na eraser yan. Okay? Nung face-to-face, wala na. Hindi na nagagamit na eraser, di ba? Online na exam. Pero noon, pag face-to-face, yung questions nasa papel pa, ginagamit ng estudyante yung saliva as eraser. Okay? Kaya yung sabi sa saliva, yung lingual lipase hindi active sa mouth. Kaya sabi, unclear yung kanyang role. Nakita ngayon, active yung lingual lipase sa stomach. Yan na nagpo-produce Ebner's gland present in the tongue, especially sa posterior third of the tongue. Sabi nga, pero with its activity, it needs an acidic environment. And it can hydrolyze fats which are amphoteric. Pag sinabing amphoteric fats, they can combine with water and lipids. So they are acted upon by lipase even without bile salts, or digested by lipase enzymes even without bile salts. So yun ang dinadigest nung lingual lipase in the stomach together with the gastric lipase. Ang pH nila, tinan mo, kailangan acidic. Yan ang optimum pH for the lingual lipase. Ito naman sa gastric lipase. Kaya sa pH 5, active sila pareho. And they can initially digest fats present in the stomach or reaching the stomach from the food we eat. And they can digest this much fats. Okay? Mga amphoteric fats yan. Initially digested in the gastric area. Okay? Kasi yung salivary gland activity, pag normal ang activity or resting condition ng person, ang saliva secreted is hypotonic and slightly acidic. Pag nag-increase yung activity, na-stimulate ng salivary glands to release more saliva. The saliva release becomes isotonic and alkaline. Ayun na nangyayari. Okay? Kasi ang pag-produce ng saliva, it takes 2 steps. Yung first step happening in the acinar cells. Alam niyo naman yung mga acinar cells. To produce saliva, ito yung primary saliva. Okay? They will get their source is plasma. So, doon sila kukuha ng secretion sa plasma. Siyempre, isotonic ang plasma. So, yung initial saliva produced by the acinar cells, they're also isotonic. Yung water content and electrolyte content, identical. Okay, pareho sila ng tonicity, isotonic. But once it is now released, into the oral cavity. Di ba? They will pass through the excretory ducts. Di ba? Yung mga Wharton sa submandibular, Stenson's duct sa parotid, okay? Bartholin's duct sa sublingual. Yung ductal cells, okay, they can alter the condition ng saliva. Okay? Oh. Ayan. Pero dito, ang na-observe, pag normal resting activity, ayan, okay? Ang na-observe, merong increased reabsorption ng sodium chloride. Yung sodium chloride, tingnan nyo, kasi yung potassium nasisikret yan. So, marireabsorb yung sodium chloride, okay? By the ductal cells. So, that will decrease the amount of solutes or electrolytes in the saliva. Ito na yung secondary saliva due to the activity ng ductal cells. And that is the one released into the oral cavity. Lesser ang amount ng solute kasi nagkaroon ng reabsorption ng sodium and chloride. That makes the saliva hypotonic. Nagtanggal ka ng solute, di ba? Okay. Nag-reabsorb ng solute, especially sodium and chloride. Kaya pag sabi normal resting condition, ang saliva produce, okay, eventually release into the mouth, affected by the ductal cells. Hypotonic yun. Okay? That's ang kaya amount about 1.5 liters per day. And the pH is on the acidic side. Acidic yan, pero close to neutral. 5.8 to 6.6. Kaya hindi active yung lingual lipase sa mouth. Ang active lang sa mouth, salivary amylase. Okay? Pag nag-increase naman ang activity, na-stimulate yung salivary glands to produce saliva. Okay? So, mag-increase yung amount produced. Siyempre, ng acinar cells, stimulated. So, there will be greater amount of saliva passing to the ducts. Greater ang amount, greater ang flow or faster ang flow. Pag faster ang flow, that will decrease reabsorption of sodium and chloride. You allow the saliva coming from the acinar cells, yung primary saliva, okay? Passing to the ducts, lumen ng ducts, okay? Flowing faster than normal because of the increased secretion. Pag faster than normal ang flow, lesser yung contact between the ductal cells capable of reabsorbing sodium chloride and the saliva. So magdi-decrease yung reabsorption ng sodium chloride. Kasi lesser yung duration ng contact between the saliva coming from the acinar cells and the ductal cells. So magdi-decrease ang reabsorption ng sodium chloride. So ma-maintain natin yung almost normal amount ng solutes in the secondary saliva. Okay? Passing to the ducts. Kaya ang saliva still is isotonic. Isotonic pa rin siya. Kasi na-lessen yung reabsorption ng sodium and chloride. Okay? So greater amount ang na-produce. So more than 1.5 liters per day. Pero ang na-observe, the saliva produced is now becoming alkaline or is now alkaline. Tumataas ang pH pag nag-i-increase yung production or increase ang stimulation. Sabi, why? Ang na-observe kasi, ayan so sa abscissa time yan, ito yung, ordinate natin, dalawa, yung vertical axis, dito sa left side, bicarbonate. Sa right side, pH ng saliva. So ang na-observe, pag resting, so lesser amount ng saliva is produced. Ayan, resting. Ganyan lang, 1 ml per minute. Yung saliva, ayan. So, as acidic side, lesser lang yung bicarbonates. Okay? Paano pag na-stimulate mo? Okay? More than the normal. Okay? So, mag-increase na yung production. Ayan. Pag nag-increase yung production, greater amount of saliva is produced per minute. Nag-increase yung amount ng bicarbonates. So, greater yung bicarbonate secretion into the secondary saliva. Increasing the pH ng saliva release into the mouth. Yan. So, pag nag-increase yung stimulation, dumadami yung bicarbonates, making the saliva alkaline. Okay? Kaya sabi, pag increase activity, the saliva is still isotonic. Ang nagbabago yung pH because of increasing bicarbonates into the secondary saliva, passing now to the ducts, eventually emptied into the oral cavity. Okay? Kasi esophagus, dito wala tayong problema masyado. Okay? Kasi ang secretion lang dyan, mucus. And the esophagus is merely a passageway. Okay? Almost absent yan ang digestion and absorption. Kasi very fast yung flow. So there is almost no time for digestion absorption to happen in the esophagus. So meron lang mucus to lubricate the food passing to the esophagus. Okay? And also to protect the esophageal lining from the effects of the ingested food. Kaya yung presence ng mucus, that will facilitate flow. Okay? Kaya very fast yung flow ng esophageal content sa esophagus. Diba yung mga kanilang primary and secondary peristalsis. Okay? So, ang maraming secretion stomachs. Okay? Ito dito tayo mahirapan sa stomach. Okay? Tapos, bago tayo mag-discuss ng secretion, i-recall muna natin yung parts ng stomach. Dapat maalala niyo yan. Diba yung stomach is separated from the esophagus by anong sphincter? What separates the esophagus from the stomach? What is sphincter?
Gastroesophageal po.
Gastroesophageal, also known simply as, mahirap pa yung haba nun gastroesophageal sphincter. Okay. Lower esophageal sphincter. What about the lower part ng stomach? It is separated from the duodenum by what sphincter? No, kunin mo ulit. Duodenogastric sphincter. Hindi. So, birang tawagin nila duodenogastric. So, ang tawag lang doon, pyloric sphincter. Okay? Kaya sabi yung stomach is separated from the esophagus and from the duodenum by these respective sphincters. Okay? Nasaan yung mga specific parts? Yung close to the lower esophageal sphincter, yun ang tinatawag na cardia. Yung part niya ng stomach. Tapos yung, uppermost part niya, yung yellow part, sorry, ang tawag dyan, fundus. Tapos yung major part na ng stomach, ang tawag body. Tapos yung body, meron yan lesser curvature sa greater curvature. Diba sa anatomy, malalaman yan. Okay? Sa lower region or distal part ng stomach, close to the body, yun ang antrum. Yung lower part naman na very close to the duodenum, yun ang pylorus. That's the reason why the sphincter separating the duodenum from the stomach is called the pyloric sphincter. Yan ang mga parts nila dapat maalala niyo yan. Okay? Kaya yung mga secretory glands, okay? So present yan sa different parts ng stomach. Upper portion, body, lower portion ng stomach. Okay? Yan yung mga gastric glands. And they have so many secretory cells. Kaya marami tayong pag-uusapan. Okay? Kaya mga gastric glands na yan, they are simply classified into two. Yung mga glands sa upper stomach, ang tawag fundic glands or oxyntic glands. Sa fundus and body ng stomach, di ba upper part yan? Okay? Or proximal part ng stomach. Sa lower region, yung distal portion ng stomach, yun yung antrum and pylorus. Di ba? So, ang tawag sa mga glands doon, pyloric glands. So, dalawang klase lang. Yung glands sa upper stomach, they are known as the fundic or the oxyntic glands. Sa antrum and pylorus, distal part, ang tawag pyloric glands. Ewan, tayo tawagin na antral glands. Ang tawag pyloric glands. Okay? Okay? Pag we look them histologically, yan ang fundic or oxyntic gland, present sa fundus and body. Ito naman yung mga pyloric glands, present in the antrum and pylorus. Okay? Yung mga secretory cells, meron silang mga identical cells. Okay? These cells are present in both glands, fundic or pyloric. Ayan, yung mga foveolar cells, mga surface mucous cells. Meron ding mucous neck cells. Pareho yan sila. Pareho silang present in both fundic and pyloric glands. The secretory cells are present. Even the enteroendocrine cell, D cell secreting the hormone somatostatin. They're both present in the said glands. And the enterochromaffin cells secreting serotonin. Present yan pareho, fundic and pyloric. Now, there are certain cells that are present only in the fundic glands, absent in the pyloric glands. Ito yung mga parietal cell, secreting acid. Okay? Yung mga enterochromaffin-like cells, secreting histamine. Sa fundic glands lang lang yan. Wala yan sa pyloric. Okay? Yung mga chief cells or the peptic cells, secreting pepsinogen. Diyan lang sila ha, sa pundic or pyloric glands. And the D1 cells, which are enteroendocrine cells secreting the hormone VIP, the vasoactive intestinal polypeptide. Nasa pundic glands lang yan. They're not present in the pyloric. Okay? Sa pyloric gland naman, yung mga cells, exclusive to the pyloric glands. Yung antral G cell, secreting the hormone gastrin. And the A cells, secreting the hormone glucagon-like peptide 1. Kaya pag tingnan mo, greater ang agents secreted by the pundic or oxyntic glands. Because it has a greater number of secretory cells than the pyloric glands. Tingnan nyo kung ano yung mga cells na present lang sa pundic and the cells present only in the pyloric glands. Kasi ano yung mga common cells in both glands. Okay? Kasi ito yung kanilang mga respective secretory products. So sa proximal portion or upper part ng stomach, yung pundus and body, di ba ang tawag sa mga glands, pundic or oxyntic glands? One of the secretory cell, yung parietal cells. Okay? They are also known as oxyntic cells. Tandaan nyo yung other name, okay? So ang secretory products niyan, hydrochloric acid, the intrinsic factor, and ghrelin. Yung IF niyan, intrinsic factor. You remember ghrelin? Para saan yung ghrelin? Hello? Pali-lecture sa inyo, Dr. Ardila niyan. Para saan ang ghrelin? Hindi ba ni-lecture? Hello?
Hunger po. Hunger
okay, so
hormone.
it can affect the hypothalamic center involved in hunger or feeding. And it is secreted when the stomach is empty by the parietal cells. Kaya pag walang laman ng stomach, we'll have sensation of hunger. It will activate the hunger center in the lateral hypothalamus. Na-discuss na sa inyo yan. Yung intrinsic factor naman, it is needed for the normal absorption of vitamin B12 in the terminal ileum. Kailangan yan why is there an agent needed to help in the absorption of vitamin B12 in the terminal ileum? Because the B12 is easily degraded by intestinal enzymes. Madali siya masira. So the intrinsic factor will protect the vitamin from destruction in the small intestine. So magpo-form sila ng complex, vitamin B12 intrinsic factor complex. As the vitamin B12 travels from the region ng mouth or stomach up to the terminal ileum. Pagdating sa ileum, the vitamin B12 will separate from the intrinsic factor. And it will now be absorbed normally in the terminal ileum. Why is there a need to protect the vitamin? Kasi nga, it is the vitamin essential for normalizing DNA synthesis so that we can have normal maturation of cells. Kaya ang tawag nisa sa vitamin B12, extrinsic maturation factor. Kasi it is coming from the food we eat. It is not produced by the body. Etong IF, ang complete name niyan, intrinsic maturation factor. But it is not directly involved in the maturation of cells. It is needed for us to absorb the important vitamin that will promote normal maturation of cells. Because it can normalize the production of DNA. Kaya tinatawag din ito na intrinsic maturation factor. Kasi pag absent yan, we'll have no absorption of the vitamin B12. Di walang production ng DNA. There will be no normal production ng DNA. Di abnormal ang maturation ng cells. Di ba, alam niyo yan, yung effect niyan, pag deficient, is seen more in the red blood cell. Kaya di ba nagkakaroon ng megaloblastic anemia? Pag ang kulang intrinsic factor, we call it pernicious anemia. And if you lack vitamin B12 in the diet, we simply call it vitamin B12 deficiency anemia. But if your reason for the deficiency ng B12 is due to the absence of the intrinsic factor. We call the megaloblastic anemia pernicious anemia. Kasi yung deficiency ng intrinsic factor will also lead to B12 deficiency. Okay? If that is the reason for your B12 deficiency, the deficiency of the intrinsic factor, so the megaloblastic anemia is called pernicious anemia. But there are persons wherein they don't have B12 in the diet. They lack B12 in their diet, but they have normal intrinsic factor. So they will also suffer from B12 deficiency. We don't call that pernicious anemia. We call simply the said problem as vitamin B12 deficiency anemia. Okay? Pero ang na-observe, with regards to DNA synthesis, the normal production of DNA by the different cells of the body will not only need B12, it will also need the presence of another vitamin, yung folic acid. Okay, yung vitamin B9. By the way, what is another name ng vitamin B12? Hello? Di ba alam niyo naman yan?
Cobalamin.
Very good. Cyanocobalamin. Oh. The ability ng cyanocobalamin to normalize DNA synthesis. Okay? The vitamin cannot do it alone. Dapat it is capable of normalizing DNA synthesis with the presence of vitamin B9 or the folic acid. Kailangan magkasama sila, yung B9 and B12. So, cyanocobalamin and folic acid. Okay? Kaya pag nawala isa, you only have one vitamin. The said, single vitamin can also not normalize DNA synthesis. Kaya meron din tinatawag na folate deficiency anemia, which is also a megaloblastic anemia. So may problem ka rin sa normal maturation ng cells seen in the red blood cell. Pero tandaan mo, lahat ng cells involved pag kulang ng vitamin B12 and folic acid or the intrinsic factor. Kaya ito yung considered na most important secretion ng gastrointestinal region or digestive system. Yung intrinsic factor. Importante yan. Kasi eventually it will normalize ability ng body to produce or synthesize DNA. Kasi kailangan siya sa normal absorption ng vitamin B12. Okay? Ang isa pang secretion ng parietal cell, yung hydrochloric acid. And the hydrochloric acid secreted by the parietal cell, that is a pure acid. Why is that acid in the stomach? That is to destroy most of the pathogens present in our ingested food. Hindi naman lahat ng kinakain natin sterile or clean. Okay? Yung iba niyan, di ba, nalaglag na, dinadampot po pa, wala pang 10 seconds. Okay? Ay, pwede pa yan. No? Okay? Meron namang acid sa stomach. But take note, there is one bacterium that can survive the acidity ng stomach. Ano yun?
Yung Helicobacter pylori.
Very good. Yung Helicobacter pylori. Kaya na nagiging problema if a person is having problem in the stomach, especially sa production ng acid, and it is destroying the gastric mucosa. The injury to the gastric mucosa because of hyperacidity can be aggravated by the presence of the said bacterium, yung Helicobacter pylori. Okay? Ma-i-infect niya yun. Okay? Aggravating the problem. Kaya nga ngayon, yung mga may hyperacidity wherein we have injury to their stomach, they are not only given antacids, they are also given antibiotics to destroy the said bacteria, yung Helicobacter pylori. Okay? Yun ang isang nagsusurvive. Even if they are exposed to acid. Okay? Kaya yan ang isang importance ng acid. It will destroy most of the bacteria or pathogens present in the ingested food, protecting us from infection. The acid is also needed to normalize absorption of iron and calcium. Kasi yung iron and calcium in the diet, they are normally in the form of insoluble salts. O yung acid will dissolve the salt. And allow now normal absorption of iron and calcium, in the GIT. Kaya kailangan ng acid. Okay? And the acid is also needed so that eventually we can have secretion of the hormone secretin. We'll talk about that later. Another importance ng acid when secreted in the stomach. It is the one responsible for initial activation ng secretory products ng Chief cells or the peptic cells. Minsan ang tawag cymogenic cells. Tandaan niyo yung mga other names ha. This type of cells are also known as peptic or cymogenic cells. Ano yung secretion niya? Activated by hydrochloric acid. Yung pepsinogen. The pepsinogen, inactive form pa yan eh. When it is, when it comes into contact with hydrochloric acid, the pepsinogen is converted to pepsin. And in the said form, yung pepsin, it is now capable of the initial digestion of protein in the stomach. That can happen with the help of acid. And the acid will also provide the optimum environment for the normal activity of pepsin and also the gastric lipase. Di ba kailangan acidic? Together with lingual lipase. Kaya in the presence of acid, we can normally initiate digestion of protein and digestion of fats in the stomach. Kasi yung mga enzyme na yan, active sa acidic environment. Okay? Di ba pinakita na kanina ito yung gastric lipase? They act on amphoteric fats together with lingual lipase in the stomach. Kaya pag may acid, active yung mga enzymes na yan. Di ba itong pepsinogen, mako-convert sa kanyang active form pepsin. Leading now to initiation of protein digestion in the stomach. Plus yung gastric lipase naman, saka lingual lipase. Pag naging acidic na yung gastric area, pag production o secretion ng acid from the parietal cell, making the acidic region, decrease its pH. Ma-activate na yan yung gastric lipase and lingual lipase. Initiated na yung fat digestion in the stomach. Yan ang importance ng hydrochloric acid. Kaya may acid sa stomach. Kasi yung other secretory cells, ng mucus cells. So as the name implies, they secrete mucus containing mucin for lubrication. But they are not only acting as a lubricant. The mucus secreted by the mucus cells, they have high bicarbonate contents. So that's an alkaline mucus. So it is not only a lubricant, it is also acting as a protective coating on the gastric lining or gastric mucosa. Highly alkaline mucus yan to protect the gastric mucosa from the effects of acid. Okay? And the ability ng mucus cells to secrete a highly alkaline gastric mucus, it is dependent on the agent we call prostaglandins. Especially yung prostaglandins E2 and I2. Yung mga types na yun ng prostaglandin. Prostaglandin E2 and I2. Especially E2. It will maintain the alkalinity of the gastric mucus. That explains why if a person is taking drugs with anti-prostaglandin effects, kaya mayroon mga ganong gamot, may mga pharmacy sa inyo, okay? Yung mga medications with anti-prostaglandin action, these are mostly used for counteracting pain. Mga analgesic yun, yung mga anti-prostaglandins. Pero di ba lagi sinasabi, we are taking these drugs, we take these drugs with food. Para kasi paano merong food that will coat the gastric lining, helping protect the gastric lining from the effects of acid. Di kaya ma-dilute yung acid ng ingested food to lessen its unwanted effects on the gastric mucosa. Tutulungan mo kasi nga nagte-take ka ng medication na may anti-prostaglandin effect. Pero ang ginawa naman ngayon ng mga pharmaceutical companies, para continuous pa rin ang pagbili natin ng anti-prostaglandin medications, to alleviate pain. They are now producing anti-prostaglandins combined with antacid. Para i-protect na rin yung gastric mucosa from the effects of the said medication. Kasi the said medication decreases the alkalinity of the gastric mucus. Di ba anti-prostaglandin siya? And the prostaglandin will help the mucous cells to produce a highly alkaline gastric mucus. Tapos si mucous cells can also produce a small amount of Pepsinogen. Okay? Isa pang importanteng secretory cell sa pundic area or body ng stomach, yung enterochromatin cells. It will secrete serotonin. Ang tawag din dyan, argentapin cells. Diniscuss na sa inyo to. Ano ang importance ng serotonin sa stomach? Hello? Ito walang sumasagot. Hello? Ha? Na-recall nyo? Hindi. Sabihin nyo kung na-recall nyo. Hello? Anybody? Ba't walang gusto mag-react? Hi! Andiyan pa ba kayo? Hello? Ba't ayaw na sumagot ng mga batang to? Ayaw sumagot eh. Hello?
Dito pa po.
Bakit ngayon lang kayo sumagot? Kainis naman itong mga to. Okay. Kaya tinanggal ko yung Okay. Ayaw nyo kasi sumagot. Ba't ganun? Okay. Ayan, nakita nyo ulit? Hello? Wala.
Wala pa po.
Okay. Ayaw nyo kasi sumagot eh. Okay. Kaya tinanggal ko eh. Ayan, meron na?
Wala pa.
Wala po.
Wala pa rin. Patay tayo. Ano ba naman? Kasi pag tinatanong kayo, sasagot kayo. Oo. Hindi kayo sumasagot eh. Oo. Ay, naiinis ako. Ba't nawawala yung slideshow? Yan, wala pa rin? Hello?
Wala pa.
Wala pa. Thank you. Ito, pagsasagot kayo, madali. Eh, pag hindi kayo sumasagot, hindi ko alam kung nandiyan pa kayo o wala na kayo. Yan, meron na? Hello?
Meron na po.
Okay. Salamat. Kaya mo pagsasagot kayo, di ang dali-dali na nalalaman ko na andyan kayo. Okay? So, hindi nyo ma-recall yung role ng serotonin.
Yun po ba, Doc, yung na-activate po pag busog na po?
Ay, salamat. Tinan mo, pag sumagot kayo, di ang dali. Okay? So, this is the one counteracting the effect of ghrelin. This is released when the stomach is filled with food. Busog ka na. Inhibitory yan sa hunger center and stimulating the satiety center. Di mo pag sumagot ka, di ba madali? Okay? That's another important agent, yung enterochromatin-like cells that will release the agent we call histamine. Ito naman yung major agent, enhancing gastric acid production. ng parietal cell, yung secretion ng kay hydrochloric acid. Kasi yung other cells niyan, yung mga enteroendocrine cells. Sabi enteroendocrine. So they will release hormones. Itong D cell, okay, one of them, enteroendocrine yan. Ang sinisikret niyan, somatostatin. Okay? Tapos ang isa pang hormone, isa pang hormone na sisikret ng D1 cells. Ito naman yung BIP. Yung BIP, major hormone yan to inhibit motor activity ng GIP. Ang somatostatin naman, mostly an inhibitory hormone to gastric activity. Madidiscuss natin yan later. Okay? What about in the lower part ng stomach o yung mga pyloric glands? So meron din mucous cells, 'di ba? Identical yan eh. Okay? So pareho lang ng secretions. Okay? Ang exclusive sa pyloric glands o yung antral G cells secreting the hormone gastrin. And this is the major hormone affecting gastric activity. Pag-usapan natin yan mamaya. Ito, pareho lang. Meron silang D cells. Ang isa pang exclusive sa antrum or pyloric glands, yung enteroendocrine A cells secreting the hormone glucagon-like peptide or GLP-1. Pag-usapan natin yan later na para hindi na magulo. Okay? Sa pyloric area, mucous cells lang. Pareho lang ng secretions. Okay? So, yun ang mga respective secretory cells and their products in the stomach. Na-discuss pati importance, di ba? Kasi yung amount ng amount ng gastric secretions produced per day, mga ganyan. Okay? 2 liters to 2.5 liters per day. Okay? Kasi ito, di-discuss lang yung production ng production ng acid by the parietal cell. Yung parietal cell, pag na-activate yan to produce acid, it will take chloride from blood or plasma. And it is immediately transported into the gastric lumen. Diretso yan doon. Hindi yan mag-stay inside the parietal cell. Once this is happening, it will also allow increased activity ng carbonic anhydrase. Naalala niyo yung carbonic anhydrase, the enzyme that will immediately combine water and carbon dioxide in the parietal cell. Magpo-form agad ng carbonic acid. Once carbonic acid is formed, it will immediately dissociate into hydrogen ion and bicarbonates. Sabay-sabay nangyayari yan, simultaneously happening. Together with this, there is simultaneous ionization of water. Yung water ma-ionize, magpo-form ng hydrogen ion and hydroxide ion. The hydrogen ion coming from ionized water, it is immediately transported by the parietal cell into the gastric lumen. Yan ang magko-combine sa chloride, forming the hydrochloric acid. As mentioned before, it is a pure acid with a pH less than 1. Bakit sabi? Pag increase activity ng parietal cell, ang pH naman ng stomach, seldom na mag-reach niya yung 1. Kasi nga, it is diluted by other secretions. Kaya pag increase activity ng parietal cell, ang mga pH ng stomach, siguro mga 2 or 3. Nadadilute yan eh. Mayroong ibang secretions eh. Okay? That will dilute the acid. Okay? So ito na-observe. Tingnan nyo maigi ha. The parietal cell prepares the hydrogen ion from ionized water. Okay? Then the hydrogen ion coming from the dissociated carbonic acid. Hindi niya masyadong ginagamit to. Ang ginagamit niya yung hydrogen from ionized water. Now, when it happens, we remove a cation from the parietal cell. That will affect the electrical activity ng parietal cell. Kailangan maintain yung electrical activity. Nagtanggal ka ng positive, papalitan mo yun ng positive ion. And that is potassium. Ito yung tinatawag na hydrogen-potassium exchange pump. Okay? Yan ang hydrogen-potassium exchange pump or the proton pump. Yan ang tawag dyan. Okay? And it is an electroneutral pump. Electroneutral siya. Hindi siya kapareho ng sodium-potassium exchange pump. Naalala niyo yung sodium-potassium exchange pump? Di ba electrogenic yon? O bakit siya electrogenic? You remember? O hindi niyo na maalala? O masasagot kayo kung hindi niyo maalala. Ha? Hindi mo, ayaw na naman sumagot. Na-recall niyo o hindi?
Na-recall po.
Bakit siya electrogenic?
Gumagamit po ng energy.
Gumagamit ng energy. Gumagamit din naman ng energy to eh. Active transport din yan. Okay? So, nakalimutan nyo nga. Ang sodium-potassium exchange pump, considered electrogenic pump. Oh. Kasi it can maintain or help in the electrical activity ng K-cell. Oh. Kasi di ba, nagugulo niya yung electrical activity, pero na-maintain niya. Kasi ang kanyang transport, unequal number ng ions. Di ba 3:2? 3 sodium out, 2 potassium ions in. So, kaya sabi, it can create electrical activity ng cell. Diba tutulong siya to maintain the electrical activity yung RMT? Ito, it does not alter the electrical activity. Kasi sabi, electroneutral. Magtatanggal siya ng hydrogen, positive ion, and will be replaced with the same number of positively charged ions. Equal number yan. Ang usual activity dyan, 2 hydrogen ions pump out in exchange for 2 potassium ions. 2:2. So, hindi ka nagkikreate ng electrical activity sa cell. Pag unequal yon, we can create electrical activity kasi sabi electrogenic. It will generate electrical changes. Ito, walang change yan. Pinalitan mo lang, tinanggal mong positive ion, papalitan mo ng positive ion. Maintaining the electrical activity of the parietal cell. Now, as this is happening, the parietal cell will also transport bicarbonate ions out into the plasma. Papalitan niya yun. Papalitan niya. Magka-transport siya ng bicarb. Ang purpose naman nito, to maintain the electrical neutrality of the blood. Para i-maintain yung electrical neutrality ng blood, nagtanggal ng anion, papalitan niya ng anion. Parehong negatively charged. To maintain the electrical condition ng blood or plasma. Para hindi magulo yung kanyang electrical activity, tanggal ka ng negative, palitan mo ng negative. Okay? Pero ang nangyari naman, ang bicarb is more alkaline than chloride. So when this happens, we are making the blood alkaline. Okay? Ang tawag nila dyan, alkaline tide. Okay? Kasi meron ding increased transport ng carbon dioxide, increased transport ng carbon dioxide from the blood. Sorry, ayan. Moving into the parietal cell. Bakit daw? That carbon dioxide will combine with hydroxide ion to produce additional amount of bicarbonates. Kahit yung carbon dioxide na present in the parietal cell, product ng kanyang metabolic activity, pwede mag-combine niya sa water. Sa hydroxide ion. Magpo-form ka ulit ng additional bicarb na yan. Para effectively exchanging with chloride ions. Maintaining the electrical neutrality ng plasma, pero making the plasma alkaline. Yung tatag na alkaline tide. And the alkalinity is greater. Okay? After the activity ng parietal cell. Kailan na-activate ang parietal cell? When there is food intake, during meals. So during meals, meron tayong secretion ng bicarb into the blood in exchange for chloride, making the blood alkaline. Sabi, the alkalinity is much greater after meals. Medical term for after meals? Alam niyo yan, mga nurses lalo. Anong medical term for after meals?
Postprandial.
Very good. Ayan. Sasagot kayo agad para mabilis. Postprandial. Kaya ang tawag sa condition, postprandial alkaline tide. So normal yan. Every after meal, the blood is on the alkaline side. Mga mataas ng konti. Di ba normal 7.35 to 7.45. So slightly higher siya than 7.45. Pero normal yon. Hindi yun alkalosis. Okay? Yung excess bicarb going into the blood para ma-maintain natin ulit yung kanyang blood pH. Yung excess excreted by the kidneys. Kaya it's not only the blood that is becoming alkaline after meals, even the urine. Some of the bicarbs secreted into the blood, they're taken by the pancreatic ductal cells para mag-produce naman siya ng alkaline pancreatic juice. Okay, ayan. Okay, babalik din ang pH ng plasma back to normal. Between 7.35 to 7.45. Kaya yung postprandial alkaline tide, hindi lang blood na nagiging alkaline, pati ang urine. Kasi excess bicarb in the urine, excess bicarb in the blood are excreted in the urine. Kaya yung postprandial alkaline tide, it is not only the blood that is becoming alkaline, even the urine. Okay? Kasi yung activation ng parietal cell, it can be activated by so many agents. Kasi maraming receptors sa parietal cell that can be activated for it to produce acid. Merong M3 or muscarinic receptors. Ang ano dyan, mostly affected M3. Pero meron daw siya. Kasi sa libro nakalagay din, to a lesser extent, it can have M1. Pero mostly M3. Meron ding H2 receptors and CCKB receptors. To affect the parietal cells, yung muscarinic receptors, siyempre alam nyo na yun, kaya affected by acetylcholine. Mostly acting on M3, lesser lang yung effect sa M1. Mas marami M3. Yung CCKB receptors naman, affected by the hormone gastrin. Ayan. Tapos ang effect daw nitong acetylcholine sa gastrin to activate the parietal cell to produce acid. Ayan, activating the proton pump. Okay? Medyo lesser. Kasi ang kanilang second messenger, calcium. Ang mas malakas ang effect if there is histamine acting on H2 receptors. Kasi ang histamine, okay, acting on H2 receptors, ang second messenger nila, cyclic AMP. And that can lead to greater stimulation ng parietal cell to produce acid. Kaya di ba, pag if a person is having hyperacidity, we give medications or drugs that can block the H2 receptor, yung mga H2 receptor blocking agent. Ang mga ano nun, mga tidin-tidin, yun ang mga kaya ano nun, ha? Papakita ko mamaya. Okay? Yung mga cimetidine, ranitidine, ganyan. Okay? Meron ding mga drugs that can block the activity ng proton pump. Kaya tawag proton pump inhibitors. Yun ang mga major antacids ngayon. Okay? Pero sa normal, ayan ha. Tapos yung production ng parietal cell. Okay? Production ng acid by the parietal cell. Mostly, okay, greater at night compared sa early morning. Mas marami sa gabi. Okay? Ayaw mo wala itong yan, okay? Greater at night than sa early morning. Okay? Kasi mga antacids, ito. Some physicians are still utilizing alkaline agents. O yung mga yan. Pero yung ibang physicians, ina-avoid na to. Kasi pag alkaline agents daw ang utilized to combat hyperacidity, usually may rebound. So later on, mag-i-increase palalo yung acid production ng patient. Kaya binibigay ngayon ito, yan, mga H2 receptor blocker, aside ko mga tidin-tidin. Okay? Kasi yung proton pump inhibitors. Yan. Ito naman yung mga prazole. Okay? Yan ang mga major antacids ngayon. Tapos ang medyo bago, yung CCKB blocker. Blocking the effect of gastrin. Ito naman yung netazepide. Okay? Mga effective, kaya antacids yan. Okay? Pero ito iniiwasan na kasi nga nagkakaroon ng rebound. Afterwards, magiging much greater yung acid production ng patient. Okay? Lalo pag hindi maganda compliance ng patient. Okay? Tapos ito yung other agents that can help. Okay? Or use also in the management ng hyperacidity. Tutulungan yung antacids. Okay? Yung mga somatostatin analogs. Kung sinabing analogs, they can act like somatostatin or enhance the activity ng somatostatin. Di ba ang somatostatin mostly inhibitory? Kahit sa gastric secretion, inhibitory siya. Yan ang mga example ng mga somatostatin analogs. Ang prostaglandins. Okay? Meron din mga analogs yan. Di ba prostaglandins can enhance the alkalinity of gastric mucus. They can also inhibit acid production from the parietal cell. Kaya ginagamit din. Okay? Kasi pwede mga tumulong. That can help hyperacidic person. Okay? Yung sucralfate, simethicone. Pag may mga gastric problems, tutulungan yung mga antacids. Okay? Tapos pag regulation ng gastric activity, so merong neural control. So neural, siyempre yung extrinsic saka intrinsic neurons. Pag excitatory, what is the excitatory extrinsic neuron sa GIT? Extrinsic, ano excitatory? Kamu pati ayaw nyo pa agad sumagot. Di ba para? Di ba extrinsic neurons, para and sympa? So yung parasympathetic nerve sa stomach, mostly yan vagus. That can release acetylcholine. Siyempre vagus, parasympathetic. And also GRP together with the enteric neurons. Okay? Yung mga myenteric Meissners. Okay? Tulungan siya. Okay? Kaya ang vagus nerve sa stomach, merong neural effect and endocrine effect. So considered siyang neuroendocrine. Yung endocrine activity niya aided by enteric or intrinsic neurons. Tapos yung intrinsic neurons, siyempre yung myenteric Meissners. So yan ang mga intrinsic reflexes. So ang tawag sa reflex, stimulating the stomach to increase its activity. Gastrogastric reflex. Kasi intrinsic neurons yan eh. Di ba ang myenteric stimulated by distension. Ang Meissners stimulated by mucosal irritation. So when the stomach is distended and its mucosa is irritated, ma-activate yung myenteric and Meissners, enhancing both motor and secretory activity ng stomach. O kaya gastrogastric reflex. Distension irritation ng stomach, activating the intrinsic neurons, enhances the activity ng stomach, both motor and secretory. Para ma-balance naman, the excitatory neural effects can be counteracted by inhibitory neural effects. Anong kalaban ng para? Di ba sympa? Gagamitin niya yung norepinephrine acting on adrenergic receptors. Okay? Sa intrinsic reflexes naman, ito, pakinggan niyo maigi ito ha. Pag intrinsic reflex, ang involved to inhibit the activity ng stomach. Lalabanan niya yung gastrogastric reflex. We call the reflex enterogastric. Yung intrinsic neurons activated in the inhibitory intrinsic reflex of the stomach, they are present in the small intestine. So activated natin yung intrinsic neurons sa small intestine, especially in the duodenum. Yung myenteric Meissner's neurons sa duodenum. Pag na-activate yon, they will transmit inhibitory impulses to the stomach. Kaya ito, pag intrinsic reflex na inhibitory, distension irritation ng small intestine, specifically the duodenum, it can lead to transmission of inhibitory impulses sa stomach, decreasing activity ng stomach. If you look at the reflex, it is a reflex protecting the duodenum from over-distension, over-irritation. Okay? Di ba ang duodenum is the part ng small intestine receiving the gastric contents which are highly acidic. O kaya, this reflex is protective to the duodenum. It protects the duodenum from over-distension, over-irritation. Remember, lalo na yung acid. Okay? Coming from the stomach. Okay? I-prevent niya. Diba? Inhibit niya ang gastric activity. Okay? Tapos yung sympathetic control naman ng stomach. It is coming from the lesser and greater splanchnic nerves, which originates from the middle thoracic hanggang lower. Ayan, So from T5 to T10. Sa ibang libro, T5 to T9. Ito nakuha ko T5 to T10. That will form the celiac ganglion or the celiac plexus. Para makontrol, okay? Involving the sympathetics, yung activity ng stomach. Inhibitory yan, kalaban siya ng vagus. Okay? Para normal yung activity. Okay? Tapos yung mga enterogastric reflex na protective sa duodenum, i-initiate nun. Sabi nga, distension and irritation ng duodenum. Ayan, Kaya yung degree ng duodenal distension, the greater the distension, the greater is the initiation ng enterogastric reflex para ma-prevent yung over-distension. Tapos yung irritation, especially yung acid, kaya reaching the duodenum. Pag highly acidic yan, na-activate agad ang enterogastric reflex. Inhibit mo agad yung stomach to lessen the emptying of the acidic chyme into the duodenum. Tapos yung tonicity rin, nakaka-apekto. The tonicity or osmolality of the chyme. Tapos yung hypertonic chyme has a greater effect in inhibiting the stomach or enhancing the enterogastric reflex or initiating the enterogastric reflex to decrease immediately activity ng stomach. Ma-prevent yung excessive irritation ng duodenum by hypertonic chyme. Siyempre kasama rin acidity. Okay? Tapos yung mga products ng food digestion. mas malakas ang effect ng products of protein digestion reaching the duodenum to initiate the reflex compared sa fats and carbohydrates. Okay? Tandaan nyo, di ba protective reflex yan sa duodenum. Kaya ipiprevent niya yung over-distension, over-irritation. Okay? Tapos yung hormonal naman, pag humoral, hormonal control yan. Okay? Pag mga hormones or agents that can excite the stomach. Ang tawag natin dyan, mga secretagogues. Ang pag-usapan lang natin yung endogenous. Hindi ko nababanggitin yung exogenous. Yung mga excitatory to gastric secretion coming from the food we eat. Alam niyo naman yun eh. Yung mga types of food that can increase acid secretion from the stomach. Ito endogenous lang. Produced by our own body. O tatlo yan na major agents. Gastrin, histamine, bombesin. Yung bombesin, former name yan ng GRP. Di ba pag activated ang vagus with the help of the enteric neurons, they release GRP. Okay? Mag-stimulate yan ng gastric secretory activity. Another agent, yung acetylcholine, di ba pinakita kanina yung hindi siya sinasama sa hormonal control or humoral. Kasi ang ACH, neurotransmitter agent. Okay? So, doon siya sa neural. Neural effect ito. Okay? Pero pag ang tanong, chemical agents, ay kasama acetylcholine. Agent din yan. Okay? Yung nga lang, it's a neural agent. Ito mga hormones. Okay? Ang histamine nga lang minsan, kino-consider na paracrine agent. Okay? Plus to balance yung excitatory effects o effects ng excitatory agents, yung mga secretagogues. Meron din mga hormones or agents which are capable of inhibiting the stomach. Ang tawag naman sa kanila, collectively, enterogastrones. Okay? Ang tawag dyan, enterogastrones. Plus, the release ng enterogastrones, that will eventually inhibit gastric activity. It can happen if the gastric secretion is highly acidic. Pag very acidic, yung stomach. Ayan, okay? Mataas yung secretion ng acid, making the gastric region highly acidic. Parang negative feedback control. We release these agents that will inhibit activity ng parietal cell to prevent excessive acidification ng gastric area. So, ito yung mga agents. Marami yan. Okay? So, yan ang mga major agents. Ito tutulong na lang sa mga nasa dulo. Okay? So, ang major, ayan sila. So, matostatin, di ba, inhibitory. Secretin, inhibitory din yan sa parietal cell. CCK, inhibitory din sa parietal cell. Ito yung prostaglandin, di ba, binanggit yan. Inhibitory sa parietal cell and can alkalinize the gastric mucus. Ang BIP, inhibitory din sa parietal cell. Okay? Kasi ito, mga glucose-dependent insulinotropic and glucagon-like peptide 1. They don't only inhibit the gastric parietal cell sa production ng acid. Okay? They are also considered insulinotropic. Pag sinabing insulinotropic, they're capable of stimulating the pancreatic beta cells to release insulin. I will present it later. Okay? So yan ang mga gastric inhibitory agents. Okay? And they're mostly coming from the duodenum. Karamihan yan galing sa duodenum. Protecting also the duodenum from the effects of acid. Okay? Tapos yung prostaglandins, ito, di ba sabi, they can also inhibit acid secretion by the parietal cell. Ang action nila to inhibit acid secretion from the parietal cell, they block the effects ng histamine, which is dependent on cyclic AMP. Okay? Yung ando ng histamine, ibablock nila yun. Okay? Ilelesen yung kanilang effect by decreasing the effect ng histamine as it acts on cyclic AMP. Ibablock nila yan. Okay? Yung effect ng histamine sa gastric parietal cell involving the cyclic AMP. So, hindi nila bablock yung secretion, yung effects na ng histamine on the gastric parietal cell. Tapos, di ba, may ability siya mag-stimulate ng mucous cells to produce a highly alkaline gastric mucus. Okay, may protection din sa stomach. Okay? And it can also promote gastric vasodilatation. Yan ang mga other actions ng prostaglandin. Okay? Additional sa kanyang ability to enhance alkalinity ng gastric mucus. Pag somatostatin naman, di ba, inhibitory din siya. Ito yung merong direct effect in decreasing secretion. Kasi directly inhibits the enterochromatin-like cells. Anong pinuproduce niyan? Di ba histamine? So, decrease ang histamine secretion. Inhibit niya yung activity ng histamine secreting cells, yung enterochromatin-like cells. Mayroon din siyang inhibitory effect sa antral G cells. Ano sinisecrete niyan? Di ba yung hormone gastrin? Ito, dependent ito sa, may direct effect siya sa production. Hindi ka pareho ng prostaglandins, okay? Yung effects na ang binablock. When it is acting on the parietal cell, utilizing cyclic AMP. Pag somatostatin, ang ini-inhibit yung cells producing the excitatory agents. Secretagogues, histamine and gastrin. May direct effect siya, inhibitory sa enterochromatin-like cells and antral G cells. Okay? Ito naman yung insulinotropic peptides. Di ba dalawa yan? And they are at times referred to as incretins. Associated sila dyan. It is now these agents are now utilized to help, okay, in the management of patients suffering from diabetes mellitus. Di ba alam niyo problem sa diabetes mellitus? Ano problem doon? Hello? Pag diabetes mellitus, ayaw na naman sumagot. Ano problem? Pag may diabetes mellitus ang patient?
Kulang pa sa insulin.
Kulang sa insulin. Kaya tutulungan ito. Nakakatulong to. Thank you ha. Pag sumasagot kayo, salamat. Okay? So, yung GIP saka GLP, pinakita na yan mga insulinotropic agents. They're secreted when glucose is present in the duodenum. Di ba normally, what is the primary stimulus for the insulin secretion from the pancreatic beta cells ng islets of Langerhans? Anong major stimulus nila or primary stimulus?
Hyperglycemia.
Very good. Hyperglycemia. Ito, napansin nyo to? Yung insulinotropic peptides can stimulate the pancreatic beta cells to release insulin when glucose is still present in the small intestine. So, wala ka pang hyperglycemia. Okay? So, anticipatory action yan. Anticipatory action ng insulinotropic peptides stimulating the pancreatic beta cells in advance to release insulin. Anticipatory yan. Kasi yung glucose present in the small intestine, eventually, they will be absorbed by the small intestine. And it will go to the blood, increasing level of glucose in the blood. So before we develop hyperglycemia, meron ng early activation ng parietal cells to produce insulin, pancreatic beta cells to release insulin. So may nakabantay ng insulin. Mape-prevent yung mga rapid increases ng blood glucose level. Okay? Nakabantay na siya kasi meron ng glucose sa intestine. Eventually, ma-absorb yan. Mag-hyperglycemia ka. So bago mag-hyperglycemia, meron ng activation ng pancreatic beta cells to release insulin due to the effect ng GIP, GLP-1. So nasa small intestine yan, yung mga enteroendocrine cells secreting GIP and GLP-1. Okay? Yung iba niya nasa stomach. Diba yung GLP-1? Okay? Di ba meron yan sa lower part ng stomach? Okay? Yung A cells. Tapos yung insulinotropic peptides, other than causing early activation ng pancreatic beta cells to release insulin, meron din silang ability to stimulate the pancreatic beta cells to produce more insulin. Kaya nakakatulong nga sa mga patients na diabetic. May problem sila sa insulin secretion. Kaya tutulong yan, yung mga tinatawag na incretins associated with the insulinotropic peptides. And they can also promote better increase sa number ng beta cells. I-allow nila yung proliferation ng beta cells. Okay? And they can also inhibit or decrease programmed cell death ng beta cell. Di ba apoptosis? Program cell death yan. So, better ngayon yung production and secretion ng insulin in the presence of the said peptides. Okay? Kaya lagi sinasabi, they're always saying, okay, yung insulin secretion is greater when glucose is administered orally than when it is administered intravenously. O, bakit greater ang insulin secretion pag binigay ang glucose through the mouth? Kasi pag ang glucose administered through the mouth orally, meron tayong secretion ng GIP, GLP-1 that will activate the pancreatic beta cells in advance. Ando pa lang ang glucose sa intestine, meron ng activation ng pancreatic beta cells to release insulin. Tapos pag na-absorb na to, magkakaroon na ng hyperglycemia. Additional stimulation ng pancreatic beta cells to release insulin. Di mas marami kaysa pag binigay mo yung glucose IV. It will only cause hyperglycemia. There will be no secretion of GIP, GLP-1 because the glucose goes straight into the blood. Intravenous yan. So magkakaroon ka lang ng hyperglycemia. So it is only hyperglycemia that will stimulate the pancreatic beta cells to release insulin. Lesser yun. Pag binigay mo through the mouth, meron kang initial effects ng GIP, GLP-1. Pag dumating yung glucose sa small intestine, activate na agad ang pancreatic beta cells to release insulin. As later on, yung glucose in the small intestine absorbed by the small intestine. Mag-hyperglycemia ka. Additional activation ng pancreatic beta cells to release insulin. Di greater ang insulin secretion pag ang glucose administered oral than IV. Ayan ha. Huwag niyong kalimutan yan. Tapos sa activity ng stomach, dapat balance yung effect ng secretagogues with the enterogastrones para maintain yung normal production ng acid. Okay. Tapos yung phases ng gastric acid secretion. Meron yung cephalic. Di ba yung cephalic? Sabi, sight of food, smell of food, taste of food, thought of food. Ang kulang dito, hearing of something related to food. Kasama dapat yun. Nakuha ko lang sa internet ito, kulang. Ayan. Okay? Dapat merong activation ng auditory receptors. Kasama yung sa cephalic. Okay? Tapos meron din gastric phase. Pag may distension, irritation ng stomach. Especially sa antrum. Tapos malakas magkaroon ng increased activity ng parietal cell pag ang stomach irritated by products of protein digestion. Pag nag-increase ang gastric pH, activated din yung parietal cells to increase acid production. Parang ayaw niya maging alkaline. Okay? Kaya pag tumataas ang pH, magkakaroon agad ng activation ng parietal cell. Sa stomach yan, yan ang gastric phase. Meron ding intestinal phase. Kasi yung small intestine, nagre-release din ng intestinal gastrin. And they are also affected by products of food digestion, especially proteins. Okay? Tapos ang na-observe, mas greater ang production siyempre ng gastric acid sa gastric phase. Okay? And all of them will increase amount ng circulating gastrin. Bakit lahat yan? Gastrin. Di ba yung cephalic phase, parasympathetic yan vagus nerve. Di ba merong release ng GRP? Later on, meron kang gastrin. GRP is gastrin-releasing peptide. Meron kang gastrin. Pag na-activate mo yung stomach, especially the antrum, andyan yung antral G cells. Di-release ka ng gastrin. Kasi intestinal activation. The duodenum can also release intestinal gastrin. Di lahat sila merong gastrin release. Pero sabi, mas greater ang activation ng parietal cells sa gastric phase. Ang cephalic, 30% lang yung degree na activity. Pag gastric, 60% yan. Much lesser sa intestinal. Lesser sa intestinal kasi when the duodenum is affected by products of food digestion or ng acidic chyme, di ba ma-enhance yung enterogastric reflex. So kaya pag may activity sa duodenum, it tends to inhibit more the stomach than activate. O kaya lesser yung amount ng acid production. Okay? Pag intestinal phase. Mas greater dito. Andito yung antral G cells secreting gastrin. Okay? Tapos na-irritate mo yung stomach. So that will affect the enterochromatin-like cells to release histamine. Okay? Mas greater yan. Sa gastric phase. Kasi ano importance ng gastrin? Sabi nga, it is a major hormone that affects the stomach. Kaya nga, from secretion, motor activity, blood flow hanggang growth promoting action. Kaya nga tinawag siyang gastrin eh. So almost all activities ng stomach, okay, enhanced by the hormone gastrin. But it is not limited to the stomach. Meron siyang extra gastric effects. Ayan, okay? So extra gastric effects niya, ayan. Pag nakita mo yan, almost all part ng GIT affected. Halos lahat ng part ng GIT affected. Okay? Except the mouth and the pharynx. Di mo, sa esophagus may effect. Sa stomach meron, di ba? Sa small intestine, sa large intestine, sa gallbladder. Kahit yung accessory organs, gallbladder, liver, pancreas affected. Okay? Kasi if you look at the said effects, okay, well orchestrated yan. Okay? Nakaayos yan. Kasi di ba yung mga secretions ng liver, pancreas, eventually i-empty yan sa small intestine. Kaya inhibit yung sphincter of OD to open up the excretory ducts that will empty secretions ng liver and pancreas to the small intestine. Papakita ko yan mamaya. Mag-inhibit din siya ng pyloric sphincter para meron tayong gastric emptying. Yung laman ng stomach, pupunta na ng small intestine. Tapos stimulate niya yung lower esophageal sphincter to prevent reflux ng gastric contents to the esophagus. Naka-organize yan. Kaya ang activity will allow the contents ng stomach to move distally towards the small intestine. Tapos mamimix na with secretions ng liver and pancreas. Di ba? Naka-organize siya. Okay? Tapos sabi, bakit na-involve yan? Liver, gallbladder, pancreas. Di ba yung pancreas essential for the secretion ng alkaline pancreatic juice and the enzymes. Yung liver naman, production ng bile, especially the bile salts. Ang gallbladder, trabaho lang naman ito mag-store mag-concentrate ng bile, which are essential for digestion ng fats, especially the bile salts. Kaya di ba yung mga said organs o accessory organs ng GIT together with the salivary glands, they're connected to the GIT, especially in the duodenum. Okay? Utilizing their excretory ducts. Dapat kilala niyo yung mga excretory ducts na yan. Ano yung tawag mo sa mga excretory duct ng liver? Okay? Ano tawag sa excretory duct ng liver? Ay, sumagot. So, meron tayo nung right hepatic saka left hepatic duct. Magpo-form ng common hepatic duct. Doon naman sa gallbladder, cystic duct. Kasi yung cystic duct saka common hepatic duct, magko-combine yan to form the common bile duct. Doon naman sa pancreas, meron din excretory ducts yan. Connected sa small intestine, especially sa duodenum. Yung maliliit, the smaller pancreatic duct, we call it the pancreatic duct of Santorini. Okay? Gusto mo, Santorito, Santoroon, pwede naman. Okay? Yung said smaller ducts will converge to form the biggest, pancreatic duct, the duct of Wirsung. Tapos yung duct of Wirsung, magko-combine yan with the opening of the common bile duct sa region ng duodenum, yung central portion ng duodenum. Okay? Yung common ang opening nila. Ano tawag sa common opening na yan? What do we call the common opening of the common bile duct and the duct of Wirsung? Wala na sumasagot. Nakalimutan na anatomy nyo, ha? The ampulla of Bater. Tapos that ampulla is guarded by the sphincter of OD. Kaya nga di ba kinokontrol yan ng gastrin? Ini-relax niya. Para ma-empty yung contents. Okay? Nung liver and pancreas towards the... Ay, naglolo ko internet ko. Hello? Sagutin niyo ako, ha? Narinig niyo pa ako?
Yes po.
Yes po.
Naputol lang, Doc.
Kasi nga, naglolo ko internet ko. Kaya yan, salamat. Dapat tandaan niyo to, ha? Yung normal, connection ng liver, gallbladder, pancreas to the small intestines. Okay? Sa duodenum nakadikit yan. Okay? Tapos, Of the three accessory glands, sino yung considered na least important? Di ba tatlo sila? Liver, gallbladder, pancreas. Oh, mamili ka tatlo lang. Ayaw pang mamili.
Gallbladder po.
Okay? Very good. O, gallbladder. Why? Bakit lesser ang gallbladder? Wala siyang secretions. Di ba ang trabaho niya lang mag-store and concentrate bile? Nagkakaproblema pa nga eh. Pag nag-concentrate siya ng bile, it will absorb water and retain the solutes. Nagpo-form ngayon ng gallstones. Tinatanggal mo tubig eh, naiiwan ng solutes. Nagpiprecipitate. Okay? Nagpo-form ng gallstones. Malimit to, makikita nyo pag nandun na kayo sa hospital. Okay? Mga complaint ng patients na sabi, right upper quadrant pain, aggravated by intake of fatty foods. Okay? Tapos pag in-ultrasound, makikita merong stone, okay, sa region ng gallbladder. Yan ang mga gallstones. Ang tawag dyan sa medical term, cholelithiasis. Minsan yung stone nasa biliary ducts o sa common bile duct. Pag nasa common bile duct, ang tawag nila choledocholithiasis. Pag nasa gallbladder, ang tawag cholelithiasis. Kasi usually yun, okay, nag-o-obstruct sa opening ng gallbladder. So doon siya naka-block. Ano tawag sa opening ng gallbladder? Okay? Yun ang Hartmann's pouch or the infundibulum of the gallbladder. So doon nakaharang, wala palang label pa. Yun ang opening, diyan nakaharang yung stone. Okay? Tapos ano daw ang reason ba't nagpo-form ng stone? Sabi nga, merong absorption. Pag sinabing they concentrate the bile, they absorb water and some bile acids. Sino yung responsible for the absorption of these agents, allowing the formation ng stones in the gallbladder? Yung Rokitansky-Askov sinuses. Dapat maalala niyo yan. Ang nagko-contribute pa sa production ng gallstones sa gallbladder, pag excessive yung cholesterol sa body, nagpo-form yan ng cholesterol stones. Okay? Kasi nakukuha ng kay liver o na-incorporate sa bile. Tapos pag merong inflammation ng gallbladder. Kaya di ba sa kaso kanina, nasabi, merong inflammation, yung gallbladder, ang tawag, cholecystitis. Okay? Tapos uncommon to. Ito, alam nyo, dahil sumagot ng mga nurses. Common sa male o females? Ayaw na naman sumagot. Mamimili ka lang, 50-50. Male, females? Hello? Wala ba kayo? Hello?
Hello po.
Ay, andyan pa pala. Mamili ka, 50-50. Male, female?
Males po.
Male, sayang, 50-50 na, mali pa. Okay. Females, common sa females yan. Tandaan nyo yung 4Fs. Sabi, fat, female, 40, fertile. But it can also happen in males. Pero mas frequent sa females. Mas greater ang incidence sa females. Fat, female, 40, fertile. Yung ibang babae sa klase nyo, ang kulang na lang yung 40. Okay? Hindi, bibiro lang. Okay? Iba, kulang pa yung fats. Okay? Kaya female, fertile. Diyan yung dalawa. Okay? Kaya huwag kayong magpataba. Pag tumaba ka, maraming cholesterol sa katawan. That can contribute to formation of gallstones. Pag nagkaedad ka na, tataas na incidence. Pero tandaan mo, it can also happen in females. An example, ganyan lang kalaki ang gallbladder. Ito, lumaki pa nga yan kaysa normal eh. Kasi ang normal size ng gallbladder, about 4 inches ang length. Tapos about 2 inches ang diameter. Yan, mo, thumb yan, ang dami niyang stones, di ba? Ayan. Tapos ang mga stones ng gallbladder, okay? Ayan, tinanggal na gallbladder kasi hindi mo importante yan. Pag tinanggal yan, ang tawag, cholecystectomy. Yun ang tawag, cholecystectomy. Kasi yung mga gallstones, pwedeng karamitan cholesterol stones. Pero minsan, pigment stones. Di ba yung mga bile pigments? Kaya may discoloration yung stones. Pwede mix. Tapos yung size ng stone, about 1 inch yan. Yan, centimeter yan eh. Halos 2.5. Di ba ang 1 inch is equivalent to 2.54 centimeters. Okay? Kaya medyo malaki yan. Okay? Gaano kaliit lang ang gallbladder? Sabi nga, about 4 inches in length, about 2 inches in diameter. Kaya pag nag-form siya ng stones, ako sakit niya. Tapos ang regulation, ito. So, they're regulated mostly by hormones. Hindi masyado ang neural. So, ang major hormones, yung secretin, cholecystokinin. Yung CCK, cholecystokinin yan. Tapos huwag niyong kalimutan yung gastrin. And the effect of these hormones are mostly directed sa gallbladder, pancreas. Wala masyado sa liver. Kasi ang liver, autonomous yan. May sariling mundo yan. It is regulated by its own secretion. Okay? Ayan ha. Tapos yung gallbladder, sabi, pwedeng alisin yan kasi hindi masyado importante. Pag naalis yan, sabi nga, cholecystectomy, pwede yun, laparoscopy na lang. Pati pagtanggal ng stone, laparoscopic surgery na lang. Okay? Pag nawala yan, walang problema yon. Yung bile na produce ng liver, pwede nang dumiretso sa bile ducts. Tapos mako-contain sa bile ducts. Walang problema. Okay? Tapos yung mga hormones, ito, yung secretin. Ito yung major hormone stimulating the pancreatic cells to release a highly alkaline pancreatic juice. Okay? Ang in-stimulate niya, ductal cells. Utilizing the CFTR. Ano to? Cystic fibrosis transmembrane conductance regulator. Stimulate niya rin yung Brunner's gland. Produce a highly alkaline gas, duodenal mucus. Sa duodenum na yan, yung Brunner's. Tapos inhibitory sa parietal cell. Pag tinignan mo yan, the secretin is trying to protect the duodenum from the effects of acid. Kaya nga major stimulus sa kanya, acid irritating the duodenum. Yung mga S cells nasa duodenum yan. Kaya yung duodenum, pag irritated by acid, activated yung secretin release from the S cells. Okay? Binibigyan ng protection nito duodenum. Okay? Ito yung CFTR. Basically, chloride channels lang yan. Para mag-release ng bicarb ang pancreatic ductal cells. Magre-release na ng fluid kayo na highly alkaline. Ayan na. Okay. Tapos ano yung cystic fibrosis? Pinahaba pa pangalan ng chloride channel. So it's a genetic disorder. Tapos life-threatening yan. Naapektuhan yung secretions. Ang secretions normally thin. Magiging thick and sticky. That can block the tubes. O pag nag-affect ng pancreatic ducts, hindi marirelease yung enzymes sa small intestine. Kaya nagkakaroon ng maldigestion, malabsorption. Problema to. Malaking problema to. Okay? Kasi walang gamot yan. Kaya delikado. Okay? Pero bihira naman yan. Genetic problem yan. Okay? Pero tinawag nila yung chloride channel na cystic fibrosis transmembrane conductance regulator. Okay? Diyan galing yung words na cystic fibrosis. Chloride channel lang yun. Okay? Tapos yung secretin secretion, okay? Under negative feedback control. Kaya pag sumobra yung acidity ng duodenum, naka-receive siya ng acid sa stomach. Mas-stimulate yung S cell sa duodenum, secretion ng secretin. Tapos yung secretin mag-activate ng pancreatic ductal cells to release alkaline fluid. Neutralize na yung acidity ng duodenum. May inhibit na yung duodenal S cells to release secretin. Pag na-neutralize na yung duodenal acidity. So negative feedback control lang yun. Kasi another hormone, yung CCK. Ito naman, ang major stimulus, products of fat digestion. Ang nagsisecrete, mga eye cells. Nasa duodenum din yan. Small amount nasa jejunum. Tapos dalawang klase ng secretin. Meron 58 saka 8. Ito yung major stimulus. Kasi nakaka-apekto rin yung pancreatic ductal cells sa eye cells. Releasing CCK. Ito wala to sa duodenum. Nasa pancreatic acinar cells yan. Yung CCK releasing factor and monitor peptide. Pero ang major stimulus yan, products of fat digestion, irritating the duodenum. Kasi ano mga action ng CCK? Ano mga action ng CCK? So ito yung major hormone stimulating the gallbladder to contract, acting on these receptors. Tapos sa pancreatic enzyme secretion, siya rin ang mostly responsible. Di ba dalawang CCK yan, 58 and 8. Mas malakas ang effect ng CCK 58 kasi it is aided by cranial nerve number 10, yung vagus nerve. Tutulungan niya yan, CCK 58, to act on the assigner cells to release the pancreatic enzymes. Yung CCK8 acting on CCKB receptor, it is not aided by the vagus nerve. Pero it can also stimulate the assigner cells to release enzymes. Okay? Ayan pa yung other actions nila. Okay? O mag-stimulate din ng pepsinogen secretion from the stomach, affecting the peptic cells. Ito pa yung other effects. So, pwede rin siya mag-release o mag-activate ng enteropeptidase sa duodenum. This is the enzyme needed to activate initially the proteolytic enzymes coming from the pancreas, normally secreted in their inactive form. Papakita ko yan mamaya. Okay? Ayan pa yung mga other actions. Kaya nare-regulate na rin yung gastric emptying. Stimulatory sa movement ng small intestine. Sa pancreatic islets, pwede rin siya mag-stimulate ng beta cells, pero kasama yung alpha cells, secret ng glucagon. Okay? May tropic action sa pancreas. Inhibitory sa gastric and colonic motility. Other effects niya. Tapos, ang effects ng cholecystokinin, hindi lang limited sa digestive system. By the way, inhibitory din sa sphincter of Oddi para ma-release yung secretions ng liver and pancreas sa small intestine. So, katulong niya yung gastrin. Okay? So, hindi nga siya limited sa digestive system kasi may effect din siya sa nervous system. Sa satiety, nag-stimulate din ng CCK. Yung mga abdominal pain, minsan daw ang responsible doon, CCK. Pati yung disease, psychological problem na schizophrenia, sinisisi na yung CCK. So, ang CCK, hindi lang pang digestion. Pang nervous system din. Hindi lang pang digestive system. Pang nervous system din. Pero mas malakas ang effect niya sa digestive system. Okay? Kasi mga assigner cells, yung sinasabi ko, ito yung mga inactive proteolytic enzymes release. Inactive yan. Ang active, lipase saka amylase. Kaya nadidelay action ng proteolytic enzymes sa small intestine. Ang lipase nadidelay din kasi nag-aantay pa yan ng bile salts. Ang immediate ang action, amylase. Wala nang inaantay yan. Kasi mas greater ang effect niya kaysa sa salivary amylase in the digestion of starch. Okay? Kasi ito yung enteropeptidase activated by CCK in the duodenum. Kasi mag-activate ng proteolytic enzymes. Di ba inactive coming from the pancreas? Okay. Pero ang i-activate niya lang trypsin. Trypsinogen. Co-convert sa trypsin. Pag meron ng trypsin, pwede niyang i-auto-activate yung trypsinogen. And all the other proteolytic enzymes. Pati yung procolipase and prophospholipase. Kaya manonormal, mag-start ka na ng continuation ng protein digestion sa small intestine. Pero kailangan mag-act yung enteropeptidase sa trypsinogen. Tapos pag may trypsina, yung trypsina bahala. Okay? Activating all the other proteolytic enzymes, including trypsinogen, and the procolipase, prophospholipase. Napuproducing kasi yan ng pancreas. Tapos sabi, bakit kailangan yung alkaline pancreatic juice? It is the one providing the optimum environment for normal activity ng pancreatic enzymes. Kailangan ng pH kasi close to neutral. Kaya kailangan natin yung alkaline pancreatic juice para normal yung activity ng pancreatic enzymes sa small intestine. Okay? Tapos ano yung colipase? Ang colipase kasi needed to stabilize the lipase. Pag wala daw colipase, the pancreatic lipase is inhibited by bile acids. Pag may colipase, normal yung activity ng lipase. Okay? In the presence of bile salts, they can now continue the digestion of fats in the small intestine. Okay? Kasi pag ductal cells, yan ang gumagawa ng bicarb. Assigner cells, yan ang gumagawa ng enzymes. Tapos ginagawa niya yung enzymes, yung pag proteolytic enzymes inactive para walang auto-digestion. Tapos to be sure that there will be no auto-digestion ng pancreatic assigner cells, gumagawa din siya ng trypsin inhibitor. Pero hindi yan na-release. They stay inside the parietal cell to protect the assigner cells from self-digestion. Okay? Kasi yung phases, meron din yung cephalic. 20% lang. May gastric din. Mas lesser, 5 to 10%. Marami sa kanya intestinal, 70 to 75%. So, ang common dyan, yung effects ng acetylcholine, gastrin, and GRP. Ang secretion, okay? Mas marami sa intestinal kasi sasama na dito yung secretin sa CCK. Tapos ang volume secreted, mga ganyan per day, 1 to 1.5 liters. Okay? Tapos ang kasunod niyan, liver na. Okay? So, sa function ng liver, marami. Ayan. Okay? Okay? Di ba? Yan ang mga metabolic functions niya. Ayan, so detoxification. Ha? Up to this, may klase po ba kayo? Hello? Hindi naman sumagot. Hello? Nawala na kayo?
Wala po, Doc.
Wala kayong klase? Paabutin lang natin sandali. Okay? Konti lang naman to. Okay? Functions ng liver, ayan. Pero pag-uusapan natin, hindi kasama to metabolic. Kasi sa biochem na yan. Okay? So, pag-uusapan lang natin, yung formation and secretion of bile ng liver. Kasi diba, considered siya na one of the largest organ ng body. Kaya 2% ng total body weight, liver yan. Okay? Kasi involved yan sa splanchnic circulation. Di ba yan ang liver? Dual ang blood flow niya. From the hepatic artery, 30% yan. Saka from the portal vein, 70%. Okay? Bakit kailangan mag-receive siya ng blood from the portal vein? Yung portal vein receives blood coming from the stomach, the small intestine, and large intestine. Kahit nga sa pancreas and spleen. So, ang importante dito, yung mga absorbed substances, dadaan muna ng liver for processing. Okay? Kaya nga involved siya sa protein metabolism, carbohydrate metabolism, lipid metabolism. Okay? Kasi yun ang anatomic unit ng liver, yung hepatic lobule. Kilala nyo to. They have the portal triad. Yung hepatic duct, portal vein, hepatic artery. Papunta yung blood flow niyan sa central vein. Ito yung arrangement. Ayan lang. Ng anatomic unit na hepatic lobule. Okay? So, anong nangyayari? Yung portal triad, ayan, okay? Pag nagdi-deliver sila ng blood sa liver, okay? Ang gagamitin niyan, yung sinusoids. Kaya may mixture ng portal vein, blood, and the hepatic, arterial blood. Okay? Gagamitin nila yung sinusoids. Wala pa yung ayan, para mag-down ng flow ng blood from the, portal vein and hepatic artery to the central vein. Tapos punta na yung hepatic vein and inferior vena cava. Pag pumapasok ang dugo sa loob ng liver, the liver cells will get certain substances from the blood. Ang isang cell dyan na importante ay yung ito cells surrounding the sinusoids. Nag-store yan ng vitamin A. Kukuha ng vitamin A sa blood. Store niya yun. Okay? Pero involved din sa liver fibrosis. Other than activity ng perisinusoidal cells, yung mga hepatocytes, kukuha ng cholesterol sa blood para mag-form ng bile. Okay? Especially bile salts. Tapos magpo-flow yung bile opposite direction, papunta ng hepatic duct. Okay? Ang gagamitin naman yung mga canaliculi. Ayan na, papunta sa hepatic duct. Tapos yung liver zones, dinivide yan sa 3. Periportal, midzonal, saka centilobular. Okay? Anong reason? Bakit dinivide sa 3? Ito yun, okay? Ang zone 1, periportal, di ba malapit sa portal triad. So, greater ang blood flow. Siya mag-receive ng nutrients. Okay? Immediately. Coming from the portal vein. Kaya sila yung di na nagre-receive pag may toxin ingested. Lalo yung alcohol. Toxic yan sa liver. So, initially affected by toxins, yung periportal area. So, dyan agad nagkakaroon ng liver cirrhosis. Yung injury sa liver, initially, it is observed in the periportal region. Ang midzonal protected, nasa gitna. Ang malayo-layo, di ba yung centrilobular, mas malayo yan. So, hindi sila masyado affected ng toxins. Last to encounter toxins. Ang masama naman sa kanila, malayo sa blood supply. Di ba malayo sila sa portal triad? Malapit sila sa central vein. Malayo sila sa source ng oxygen, yung hepatic artery. Kaya pag may problema sa blood flow, especially the hepatic artery, nagkaroon ng obstruction, tapos nag-decrease sa blood flow sa liver, ang nagkakaroon agad ng ischemia, zone 3. Vulnerable sila sa ischemia. Kasi malayo sila sa hepatic artery. Pag toxins, ang nasisira agad, periportal. Pag nag-decrease ang blood flow sa liver, ang nasisira agad, centrilobular. Okay? Tapos sa production ng ano, okay? Bile salts, ayan. Okay? Di-discuss naman sa inyo to sa biochem. Okay? Oh. Ha? Oh, kukontinue na natin kasi sobra na oras eh. Okay? So, kukontinue natin next meeting. So, up to this point, other questions?
Wala po.
Wala. Okay, so ayan, salamat, sumagot agad. So, we'll continue next meeting. Okay, thank you for listening.